Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is The Timeless Sands of India. It was written by John Hook, and he will be our game master. This is episode 1. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. John?
Tom, thank you so much for having me. Players, welcome to Timeless Sands of India. You are all playing individual people who you don't have a relationship with each other at this time, but we will get into that. Something I do want to make a minor adjustment to all of your characters, if you don't mind. Each of you, some of you have some history or relation with the country of India. I wanted to let you know that at least for the last 3 months, you are not in India. So in particular, I really want to address Major Barnes. Major Barnes, you are back in Oxford, England, or at least you've spent the last 3 months in England, at home in Oxford. And Mr. Ramachandran? Mick, how should I say that?
Yes, Ramachandran.
Oh, I did pretty well. All right. And while you are of Indian ancestry, you live and work in Oxford, as I understand. Is that correct?
I've just finished my degree.
Okay, perfect.
I'm returning.
All right. Well, as you finished your degree, because you did complete your degree, but there's been something that's been weighing on you, and you have not been able to make that trip home over the last 3 months. And the problem that you have each been having is sleep deprivation. For the last 3 months, each of you have been besieged with inexplicable nightmares. It comes across as a wailing white noise, and it completely disrupts your ability to get deep REM sleep. For the last 3 months, you people have been going pillar to post with almost zero sleep. And so to reflect this, I would like every player to please roll 3d6 and lose that much sand.
Ooh, 10.
7.
11.
Ouch.
15.
Whew.
2 6s.
Nice.
Why wasn't that sand to begin with?
Yeah, I started at 50. So
How very frail of you.
Quite well until I rolled that 6. Damn it.
All right, friends, I'm starting at 25, so stay out of my way.
I feel better about my
Who's
39.
Who's that twitching fellow over there?
Who's that twitching fellow? All right, and so for these nightmares that you've been having, for each of you, you've each been getting, while it is like a cacophony of noise, it's lights, it's color, it's sound, it is droning, ongoing, and nightmarish. You have each been getting a like a little vignette that seems to come to mind. It's the one little piece that is recurring that you've been able to hold on to. And so I would like each player to roll a D10 and tell me what you roll, and then we're going to find out what vignette that you've been you've been having.
8.
8. Mr. Ramachandran, you keep having an image in your mind where you remember being filled with a sense of awe as you trace your hand over a very large tome with like a metal cover. It's this large book with a metal cover, and you just have this sensation that comes across of awe and wonder as your hand slowly is pulled over the cover.
So I also rolled an 8. Do I have the same
You
thing?
have the same image of this large book, with a metal cover, and it's embossed as you rolling your hand across the embossment.
Oddly, I rolled an 8 as well.
Well, you have the same image. Anybody have not an 8?
I have a 7.
5.
A
Tom has a
7. Your vision is even more frightening. You have this vision of fleeing in terror as some kind of shadowy, nightmarish beast is pursuing you.
Delightful.
5.
5. You keep getting this image of being in the back of a lorry, and you're riding with a bunch of strangers. You're not sure where you're going, but you seem to be surrounded by desert. Also, I need each character. So I'm going to actually go one at a time with this. Stuart, Major Barnes, what kind of artistic expression, visual artistic expression, do you think would be something, even though he's not already skilled in anything that's artistically expressive, drawing, painting, sculpture, what do you think would be Barnes's go-to artistic expression?
Realism. Hands down. None of that rubbish.
You are compelled to express an image, and is he being compelled to sketch it, paint it, or sculpt it, or whittle it?
Oh, sketch. Definitely sketch.
Sketch. Add the art craft skill of sketching at its base of 5%, and give me a roll and tell me how you do. Oh, also, before we start this, before we start any skill rolls, give me a sand check with your current sand.
Okay, current sand. Okay, I'm down to 43. Rolling a 23. Made it.
So you were successful. So for this day, and we'll go ahead and count this skill as this day, because you're going to be making a sand check every morning for sleep deprivation. And because you were successful, all of your physical and mental skills will be conducted with a penalty die. But you only need a normal success to be successful. So make an art craft skill sketch with a penalty die, please.
All right. Ooh, 77. That's right. Just one. 77 and 87.
Okay, so it was a failure. So it's a horrible sketch. You basically do a stick figure, and in your mind, you are drawing a picture in stick figure format of a rearing blue elephant. Okay. Terrible. There's also burned into your brain. Basically, you see an image of lettering. You recognize it as Sanskrit because of your experience with India, but you don't know what it says. Okay. And so we'll get to the Sanskrit in just a minute. Next up, Morgan, Phoebe. Phoebe is quite an accomplished singer, but
Yes.
how would she express things visually? Sketching, painting, sculpture, any other type of form?
Painting.
Painting.
Absolutely adore painting.
Add painting at base skill to your art craft, and give me your daily sleep deprivation sand check.
Okay. That would be an 04, so that's a pass.
And try it with the penalty die.
Oh, the sand check?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. You're right. I'm sorry. Sand check is no penalty die.
Okay.
Good. You passed. So your skill, your art craft skill will have a penalty die, but you only need to have a normal success.
Yes. All right. Yeah, and 88 is not going to cut it.
All right. So, yeah. So you paint this blue blob, and it also, in your mind, is a representation of a rearing blue elephant. You also have in your brain burned these letters that you don't recognize, but you get a sense that it's a language of some sort, but probably not one that you've been exposed to at this time, being 1923, and you're in Paris. David.
Remarkably, I passed my sand check with an 8.
Oh, fantastic! So, what kind of mode of art would Herr Hauptmann express himself with?
I think the idea of whittling makes sense.
Whittling, I like whittling. So go ahead and add artcraft whittling, and you will attempt that since your sand check was successful with 1 penalty die.
52 and 22, not gonna.
Okay, so you have this stick, and it barely is carved around, and it's a poor representation, but in your mind, it represents a rearing blue elephant, and you also have Sanskrit in your brain that you know it's lettering of some sort, but you're not exactly sure of what.
Gotcha.
Tom. Mr.
I'm sorry.
Crane.
Is the blue elephant like the thing that chased me in my dreams?
It is not. Good question.
Okay.
The thing that chased you in your dreams was a shadowed form that it was wild. It was like some kind of crazed attack animal. Certainly not a gentle elephant.
Thanks.
So,
Tom, Mr. Crane.
My art form was basically taught to me by my father. It's a Victorian sort of unusual sort of thing. It's constructing miniature paintings out of butterfly scales. You have to do it with a microscope, and you have to very carefully arrange it with the
I
stylus.
love that. I love that. You begin trying to channel your father and do this. So because this is something passed down to you by your father, go ahead. Does this art craft have a name of any sort? Butterfly sculptures?
I think it's like painting.
Painting? All right.
Because they make paintings with them.
They make paintings with. All right. So call it painting. Call it painting on your character sheet. But because your father, this is something you're channeling from your father, go ahead and start with a 15% in that.
Okay.
And give me your daily sleep deprivation sand check.
Sand check, I passed it by 4 points.
All right, so you'll use just a regular single penalty die for this art craft skill.
I'm rolling regular skill? Okay.
Yeah, regular skill with 1 penalty die.
Yeah, I didn't pass.
Okay, so you attempt this painting. It's horrible. You know it's horrible. Everyone knows it's horrible, but it was your best attempt at trying to create a rearing blue elephant, and you also see the Sanskrit in your brain.
So
you recognize it as Sanskrit because of your fascination with India, but you don't know what it says.
All right.
I believe, right? You don't.
I have Hindi.
You do have Hindi.
It's modern Hindi, isn't it? It's not ancient Sanskrit.
I will allow you to.
language.
I will allow you to do a Hindi roll. Go ahead and do that
Right.
now.
I got 24 out of 31.
Okay. I will tell you what it means in just a second after
All
we catch up with Mr. Ramachardan. Nick, how does Mr. Ramachardan express himself artistically?
He will be sketching.
All right, add sketch. Do your daily sanity check for sleep deprivation.
Okay. And that was pause. That's 17 now out of 50.
All right. So, do you attempt your art, your painting, with, or your sketch? Attempt your sketch with a penalty die.
Okay. Well, it's definitely a fail.
Okay. Again, you were attempting to express this rearing blue elephant. It failed, but that's, the painting, that's what it means to you, right? It was just how you were able to express it. And you also see the Sanskrit in your mind. The Sanskrit you instantly recognize as meaning the words dreaming pilgrim. And Mr. Crane recognized that as well. Dreaming pilgrim. So this is the image of the rearing blue elephant, and you have each attempted to recreate an art in some way. All of you have failed, but that's fine. You knew what it was looking like. You just had a hard time realizing it in art. You also all see these Sanskrit letters in your brain, and two of you. Did anybody else have Hindi as a skill? Not.
Yeah, I have Hindi.
Oh well, please make an attempt to roll that. Because you've had enough time to do this, you can make this roll with no penalty die.
Certainly, 1 second. Oh darn it! May I spin 3 luck?
You may, if you so desire.
I desire to spin 3 luck to succeed.
Okay. So you also realize that this says Dreaming Pilgrim.
Dreaming Pilgrim.
So these have been the nightmares and the imagery that has been plaguing your minds for the last 3 months. And there's one last piece has been kind of thrumming and coming through, like a beacon through a migraine, is Calcutta. For some unexplicable reason, you have each feel compelled to travel to Calcutta. You finally have gotten to the point where you can take it no more. The sleep deprivation, the nightmares, the noise, the explosion of colors in your brain, day in, day out, hour after hour. It has been driving you insane. You guys have all lost sanity from this. This has pushed you, and so now you have finally chosen to escape and get to Calcutta to try and find the answer to this, because the answers did not come to you at home. So allow me. Unrelenting dreams have stabbed at your brain for weeks, depriving you of your most basic needs, a good night's sleep. Every evening you dream in swirls of maddening color and music composed by 1,000 screaming tongues. Waves of intense emotion crash upon the shores of your mind. Fear, hate, desperation, and terror permeate every fiber of your being. Your body is physically and mentally exhausted after weeks of mental torture. You pray each night for the dreams to end, for you fear that eventually you will plunge into a pit of madness. Through all the noise, there are a few recurring elements to your dreams. One is the image of an elephant, a rearing blue elephant that rampages through the ether. Another is an image of a pair of words in a strange script that blazes and swirls. Each morning you wake after your nightmares with your bedclothes drenched in sweat, and a lingering thought echoes through your mind, urging you to go to Calcutta, India. To date, nothing has eased your dreams. No opiate, no drink, no medication. But maybe something in India can. Thus, ever since the Bankura, a steam freighter with the British India Steam Navigation Company, left Bombay, your concerns about what you're going to do once you actually reach Calcutta has grown. Sometimes your dreams feature flashes of scenes or vignettes, but you can't understand what they are and or what they're trying to tell you. You wonder if anyone on board the ship may have any ideas. So you guys have all booked passage and have been traveling from some of you from England, some of you from Europe. You've gotten aboard steamliners that have taken you through the Suez Canal. After getting through the canal, you transferred to a small, you were on a very nice passenger vessel, but now you guys are aboard the Bankura. The Bankura, after leaving Bombay, India, and it's a 3-day journey from Bombay to Calcutta. So you're in the last 3 days of your leg traveling to Calcutta, and the Bankura is a small merchant vessel. It is modified to take some passengers, but it's primarily a cargo freighter, and the Bankura, in addition to yourselves, which so far you guys have spent most of your times just racked out in your rack and closing off the world, but you are aware that the Bankura is carrying a company of British soldiers. They are actually billeted in one of the 3 cargo holds. A second cargo hold is filled with coal, so it's carrying a load of coal from Bombay to Calcutta. And the third cargo hold is basically filled with your personal travel goods, anything that was too large to have in your 1-bed rack area that you were assigned, and also other merchant goods that are being carried to Calcutta for market. So there's, not counting the company of British soldiers, there's probably a very small handful of regular passengers, then about an equal company of sailors servicing the Bankura, and then you guys. So there you go. You are waking up. It is the morning, 3 days out from Calcutta, aboard the Bankura. And we're going to follow Major Barnes at this second, if we can. So, Major Barnes,
Yes.
you have awoken, if you can call it awaking, since you've been basically awake all night. But you're finally kind of rousing yourself, and your stomach is growling.
Oh, what? I'll just go out on the deck and stretch my legs and head towards the mess hall, if there is one.
Yep. There is a mess area aboard in the main cabin of the Bankura.
I bring with me my trusty sketchbook. Maybe I might finally nail that elephant in a good representation over some breakfast and some good sea air.
You shuffle half asleep down the narrow passageway to the dining hall, and as you enter, you see a few tables. There are several members of the ship's crew seated at one table, and you can tell from their sullen attitude towards the passengers that they want nothing to do with you. But you do see another table with these fine gentlemen, as well as one other, seated around it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there-
Oh, good morning, sir. Good morning.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you all. May I have a seat and join you for breakfast?
Please, of course.
As you sit, there is a steward, since they do try to cater to passengers to some small degree. There is a steward who comes up and he sees you as you sit, Major, and says, "Tea,
Oh, yes, please. And some biscuits if you have any.
sir." And he pours some really a dingy liquid into a cup for you and goes off for some biscuits.
Thank you. I take a sip and start going through my sketchbook and looking at some of my versions of the elephant here.
John, did the sand check we did, does that apply to today?
That does apply to today. So let me, actually, that's a good question. Let me just clarify. Every day, you guys will, every morning when your character wakes up, you're going to be doing a sleep deprivation sand check, and that will determine how useful and coordinated you will be for that day. If you have a successful sand check, good news, you will only have a penalty die, but it will be regular successes on your skills, but it will have a penalty die. Bad news, if you fail your sleep deprivation sand check, not only will you have a penalty die, you're going to need hard successes to have a success at whatever it is that you're doing for that day. Okay?
That's clear.
You're a major. You're a major.
Oh, retired.
Oh, retired.
3 years.
Where were you stationed?
Oh, actually here. I worked for
boat?
quite. Well, I was stationed here, and then was a former adjutant attorney to the chief magistrate of Southern India.
Oh, my goodness.
Was a jolly good old time, but then as that office no longer required services of several of the staff, I went into the British Office of International Business Exchange, and I've been a consulting attorney with them off and on.
Well, this is my first time down here, so perhaps you will be able to show us around when we arrive to Calcutta.
It would be my pleasure.
Forgive me, my name is Rainer Hauptmann, and this is my first time beneath the equator.
Oh, it is a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you. Pardon me, I'm a bit groggy. I haven't been sleeping well.
So, rather than drink that swill that they just brought you, you have some from my teapot. It's much better. Brought it with me.
Thank you.
Yes. See how you like that? That's Crane brand tea. I'm Nestorius Crane. I'm traveling to India, amongst other things, to look into some prospects for purchasing tea. But I'm going to Calcutta for the first time. It's a little bit out of my way, but I'm fascinated with going there for some strange reason. Taking my time.
Oddly, I'm compelled as well. I've been having the damnedest dreams.
Dreams, you say?
Dreams, you say?
Well, yes, I keep seeing this blasted animal. I've been sketching it over. It's not really good.
Oh dear.
That's curious.
I'm not exactly a painter, but I have a similar project. I was also working on an elephant piece. That's quite strange. Gentlemen, you also anything? Ma'am?
Oh, well, I just wish I could, singing about blue elephants, but my painting isn't so good.
If you will forgive my my impoliteness in jumping into your conversation, gentlemen, I too have been plagued with such dreams.
India is a very strange place, you know.
It's absolutely fantastic. But what are the chances of us all meeting aboard this ship?
Well, mine is not a happy story. I've been practically without sleep for months. It's awful.
I too quite exhausted. Did you say the elephant was blue?
Yes, blue.
Yes.
Well, that's astonishing.
I was using birdwing butterflies. I construct the pictures out of butterfly scales.
Butterfly scales.
It's an old
Oh,
Victorian
you just must need so many butterflies to make a painting.
Oh, not really. But the paintings are very small.
Schmetterling. Yeah.
To use a microscope to see them.
Yeah, goodness.
Oh, I would. I
It's
would love to see
ridiculous,
something like that.
Preston.
And there is another gentleman seated at your table, and he's very intrigued by your conversation. He's very bleary-eyed as well, and he kind of sits forward as the conversation has been growing, and he says, "Pardon my intrusion. I couldn't help but overhear you talking. My name's Fuller, Adam Fuller, and you a blue elephant, you say?"
You too.
Yes, as blue as the sky.
Yes. And he pulls from his pocket a pocket watch, and as he, you can see on the cover, the silver cover has been etched, engraved, and dyed so that the silver has a blue tint to it in one area, and on the cover of his pocket watch is that rearing blue elephant.
Yes.
And so he holds his watch out for you guys to see, and lady, and he says, I'm a jeweler by trade, and I was compelled to enhance my watch with this image.
Did you
That
by
is
chance?
beautiful.
Did you by chance write upon it in Hindi? Dreaming Pilgrim.
So he pops his watch, and so the lid opens up, so you can now actually see the face of the watch. But on the inside of the lid, where it has the elephant on the outside, on the inside, you see etched this Sanskrit, and he says, "I did my best to replicate it, but yes, I have no idea what it says."
Oh. Your talent is incredible.
Well, you are far too kind.
This is altogether uncanny.
I greatly appreciate that.
If I
Some
might be
force
so
is,
bold, sir, it says "Sapan dikne vala tithnetre," which means dreaming pilgrim, as the other gentleman has wisely said.
Oh, well, I definitely defer to your expertise, my good sir.
Something is calling us to Calcutta.
This is
Dreaming pilgrim, more like tired pilgrim. I mean, I don't.
I thought that I had just was referring to myself, subconsciously. But now you've all seen and read the same thing. How very strange.
I didn't even recognize it exactly, even as this exact image that you have there on your watch.
And you're all having sleep deprivation. Perhaps God is sending us a message.
Perhaps at that. And so Mr. Fuller reaches out. He takes his watch just as the steward comes and brings the major his biscuits, and looks at you gentlemen and says, "Would you like anything else?"
No, thank you.
Very good. And he walks away to go service the other table with his actual shipmates. And so Mr. Fuller clicks his watch closed and slips it back down into one of his vest pockets. And he sits there and says, I'm so damned tired, but I would so love to explore this vessel, if for anything to try and give my mind something to think about. Hopefully, I can be distracted. Who knows? Maybe I can be distracted enough to finally get some sleep.
I would love to get up onto the deck, get some fresh air, get out from under all of the
GM,
woodwork.
are we on the ocean or are we on a river?
You are on the ocean. So you are in the Indian Ocean.
But following the coast?
You're following the coast. You're not, you're following the coast, but it's a distance out there. So you're in deep water. But the coastline, if you had a telescope, you'd probably be able to see it.
Huh. Well, I feel safe, at least. Can't be too careful with pirates, but I'd like to see them try to overcome a ship filled with soldiers downstairs.
Well, yes, with all this blue elephant and our shared dreams, it'd be incredible for this to get more exciting. Although I think it could be if you weren't also tired.
Can't abide pirates at all.
Well, Mr. Fuller, if you are up for that walk, I would love to go with you.
Absolutely, yes. I think I've had my fill of this gruel.
Yes, perhaps we should all go up on deck and get some fresh air, if the air is fresh.
Although, Mr. Crane, I must say, your tea is delightful, but I must say, where do you sell it? I've never seen it before.
I'm London-based, so we're pushing forward. Hopefully, within a few years, we'll supplant any other companies that are around.
I would love to take some home with me when I go back to Paris.
Of course.
Agreed. Quite tasty. Do you have a business card?
Of course, yes.
And Major Barnes, since you know Calcutta well, do you?
Not really well. I mostly spent the times in the magistrate's office running cases and researches, most dreary work in offices and research. Did not get off much out of the office, that is.
In your experience, can I look forward to having a decent cup of coffee anywhere, or is it all going to be good tea and bad tea?
Well, there is coffee. There is coffee.
Well, that will be a comfort. Are you traveling alone then?
Yes, Fuller says. You were talking to Fuller?
Yeah, the company.
Yes, I'm traveling alone.
So each of us is sleepless, has dreams of blue elephant, comes alone to Calcutta. This is not
and
something.
We're all in the same boat together.
On the same boat.
This is highly peculiar.
Yeah, it's quite queer.
It is. It must be the workings of God, leading us perhaps to our salvation from this horrible dreaming.
Well, anything that will end this nightmare is welcome, yes. Do you, when you dream, do you feel like that you're being chased by some monstrous beast?
No, I don't know. There's just this most beautiful book.
Huh.
This old large tome. It's with this beautifully embossed metal cover.
My goodness. Phoebe.
So, yes, Major.
It is Phoebe, right?
Yes, Phoebe.
Precisely my dream.
Well, I guess after we have all seen the same writing and same elephant, I can't be too surprised. But Rainier, I feel sorry for you if you see something different.
It sounds horrific. You're being chased.
Yes, it's I never see the thing. It's just this schrecklich, wie sagt man, this wild, monstrous thing that is haunting me.
Sounds terrible.
I think I would sleep beautifully if I saw a beautiful book.
Well, it's if it wasn't for that horrific wailing noise and the colors.
Adam chimes in. That's very strange. I have also seen this image of a strange bronze sculpture of some sort, and it's topped with this huge gem. This ruby gem. It's as big as a man's fist. It's amazing.
There's plenty of statues in India. Oddly enough, my dream only seems to consist of me in the back of a lorry traveling through the middle of the desert. There are other people there. I don't know if it's you.
Give me an idea roll if you would.
09.
You recognize some of the faces from your dreams as some of the men and women around this table right now.
Perhaps it's my brain filling in the details, but now that I think of it, the lorry that I'm in the desert.
You can definitely recall seeing Phoebe and Rainier and Major Barnes. Those three for sure.
Yeah. I've seen you all before.
This is most curious.
Portents and omens.
Did you see an elephant as well in your dream?
Yes, blue elephant. I tried to recreate it in butterfly scales, but
That's right.
I haven't slept well, so trying to do that kind of work under a microscope is
sounds quite challenging.
My dream, I had a vision of a book with a metal cover.
Yes. Yes, just so, I don't know, it just takes my breath away.
Something is there in India waiting for us.
This almost sounds like fevered hallucinations. Maybe we all contracted something, but we're all coming from different places, aren't we?
Yes, of course.
Yes, and
I myself have just finished my degree at Oxford University, not a place known for inducing feverish nightmares.
Well, let's see, you were in Oxford. Who else was in Oxford?
I was. My family lives in the outskirts.
I haven't been to
Well,
Oxford.
I'm going to take out your theory right there. I've been living in Paris for the last couple of years.
I've been in London.
Yes, I come directly from Berlin. And my wife has no such sickness of the mind. She sleeps like a babe.
Nor does mine.
How could we all be subject to the same condition?
Well, they say that in India there are mystics and wizards and shamans that have magical powers. Perhaps somebody is calling us there. Perhaps
it's a radio beacon from Calcutta that calls to us, but why us?
Well, I'm feeling the calling of some fresh air, so if anybody wants to go for that walk now.
Yeah, Adam collects his items, puts his watch away and stands and says, yes, I could stand to get some fresh air. And he offers his elbow to you, Phoebe.
Oh, you are so kind, Adam. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Take it.
And so they begin to head out. The steward is there at the door holding it open for you guys.
We'll follow.
Yes, let's go up deck.
Please,
so you were studying at Oxford, you say?
I was indeed, yes.
What is your subject?
I was studying economics.
And you returned to the home country for... Do you have employment?
I am currently of independent means.
The most fortunate of means one can have.
Indeed, yes. Although I had intended to explore other possibilities in England, but in concert with the rest of you, I felt a certain urge to return to India. Although I must confess, I have never visited Calcutta before. I'm originally from Delhi.
Yeah, so your homeland is vast.
Yes, indeed. This is not an area I have any familiarity with.
Well, my normal destination is Ceylon. So this is quite a ways out of my way.
And you have visited there before for your tea business?
Yes, a number of times. I have a number of farms growing for me.
I understand. But you too feel the blue elephant brings you to Calcutta.
Yeah.
Not so much the blue elephant. It was more a compulsion, I suppose one could say. I feel compelled to visit Calcutta.
It's the same here.
That it might induce sleep.
So as you guys get onto the deck of the Bankura, it is it's a very simple cargo vessel. There's much of the top side, the length of the top side of the ship is basically 3 large cargo hold doors, and all of the doors are one set of doors are closed, but the other 2 sets of doors are open just for air to circulate and things like that, since one of the 3 cargo holds is being used as a to billet the soldiers, and you can hear them milling around down there, and basically they're just they're in relax mode. They're not really kind of doing soldiering right now as they're chilling out and traveling. But you can see some of the officers are strolling around on the decks on the upper deck, but all the enlisted are still down in the cargo hold. So they've got little camp chairs and small tables set up, and there's a lot of drinking and smoking and card playing going on down there, carousing and joking around. Definitely you can tell that those are young men who are they're enjoying their time as soldiers, and just kind of relaxing as they're heading off to a new duty station. And the officers are walking around up top, just kind of smoking and having conversations with each other as they enjoy the ocean breeze and spray. And it seems like, if it wasn't for this debilitating sleep deprivation, it seems like this could be a sea voyage that would be enjoyable. But it's really kind of, it's wearing down on you guys, and you've got this almost like the paranoia that might be setting in, like, what is going on? Why are you having these dreams? Why are you all having these dreams? What's bringing you to Calcutta? What is going on?
Oh, Adam, your idea for a walk was splendid.
You definitely you are brightening my day, dear. I must say, you just being able to hang out, being able to have this walk with you is very enjoyable.
Yeah. Where are you from, Adam?
I'm from New York.
Oh, New York. I come from Rhode Island.
I thought I could hear that New England accent.
Yes, well, guilty as charged. Just such a lovely place, but Oh, the allure of Paris.
Gay Paris, yes, indeed.
Have you ever been to Paris, Adam?
I have in my works as a jeweler. I've gone to Paris to buy fine jewels and metals to craft into my works. I make rings and fobs and
Well, based on that pocket watch, the muse definitely speaks to you.
well, you are far too kind.
Oh, no, I couldn't be kind enough. Your work is remarkable.
Well, once we get this down to business, figure out what it is that's going on in Calcutta, I would love for to show you more of my work.
Oh, that would just be incredible.
And he pats your hand as he continues to walk.
Question for Morgan. How old is Phoebe look?
24.
24.
Also, John, should I assume that for those of us coming from Europe that it's hot? Do we know what time of year it is?
It is summer. It is quite warm. Being out on deck and having the ocean spray is fantastic. It feels great. The Bankura is a diesel engine, and so it belches out black smoke. It's less terrible than a coal-fired engine, but it's still pretty bad. So the relief and great breeze and spray, just that misting of the ocean water is counteracted by the heavy black smoke that rolls over and kind of courses down the ship as it steams along.
Mr. Ramachandra, was it?
Yes, Ramachandra, yes.
Ramachandra. This ship is called the Bankura. Do you know what that means?
Do I know what that means, John?
I don't know. It is a real ship. I discovered it online for the time period, but I never looked up what Bankura translates as. Bancora.
Doesn't seem like Indian at all.
Sounds like a place. Probably a place.
Yeah, it could be a proper name.
Yeah.
No, the Google translates Bankora as Bankora.
Yes.
So unless I can write it in Hindi, they won't translate it, unfortunately.
It's probably a British ship, though. Originally,
could be, yeah.
Everything's British.
Yeah.
As long as the GM is assuring me that Bankora does not mean the blue elephant.
It does not mean yes. Okay. Bankura does not mean the blue elephant, but this definitely was a British India Steam Navigation Company vessel. So the Bankura is part of that actual historical company ship.
I must confess, I'm not familiar with the word. I think it might be Tamil, which is what Indians say whenever they don't know the meaning of a word. I can assure you of that.
As long as it doesn't mean sink me.
It's actually a call sign to pirates to raid me.
Yeah, no, then I wouldn't get on the ship.
It doesn't mean sleeplessness.
Right.
Exhaustion.
How long before we get to Calcutta?
You are 3 days. You are 3 days away from Calcutta. So
we're 3 days in, right? We're 3 days in and 3 days away. Is that what I recall?
You're several days into your travel. You're now in the final 3-day leg.
Thank you.
So this portion is designed for the characters to introduce and get to know each other. And so we can play this as long as you would like, or we could begin advancing this. I want you guys to feel free to ask questions of each other, ask questions of me, whatever it is, explore the ship, whatever it is that you would like to do. So I don't want you to feel like that you have to keep going with this role play portion if you don't want to. But I wanted y'all to have some breadth in order to introduce yourselves to each other, and I feel like you've done that sufficiently. But if you would like to continue on, like I said, exploration of the ship, the not the cargo hold holding that's filled with raw coal ore, but other than that, you've got the other cargo hold that's just got goods and stuff like that. You've got the one that's got the soldiers that are billeted, and then you've just got the ship itself, with the there's an engine room, there's the kitchen, there's crew quarters, passenger quarters, the bridge. I mean, there's different parts of the ship. It's not that it's not like security keeps you out of different areas. I mean, you guys kind of have free reign. It's also the 1920s, so people are kind of playing it fast and loose. So if you guys had anything that you wanted to do, feel free to tell me, and we can do that.
I have a question about the captain's table. My understanding from fiction is that on vessels that had, stuff and also relatively well-off people, the captain would have maybe a series of people dine with him or lunch with him. So I guess I'm asking whether we're notable and whether there's anybody else notable on this ship that would be dining at the captain's table, or if that's just...
Yep. Yeah. So this ship does not actually have a captain's table. So the dining hall is at a space is at a premium on a ship like this. So the crew eats in shifts. Passengers who choose to eat in the dining hall eat whenever there's an open seat available, and if it's open during the hours in which they're serving food. The captain typically will have his plate and eat either on the bridge or in his quarters. He does have a private cabin, being captain. So there is no, dining with the captain, say, like you would have on a actual luxury liner kind of, or a true passenger vessel. This is a cargo vessel that accommodates passengers instead of a passenger vessel that accommodates cargo. If that makes sense.
I think as an Indian gentleman who is wealthy by Indian standards, but very much average by European standards, I wouldn't expect to be invited to the captain's table on that kind of ship anyway.
Right. Yeah. In fact, if there was that type of thing, classism is still very real, and it would only be the white passengers. It would definitely be Phoebe first, and then some of the other white passengers.
Can I put forward also that probably by the second day on this ship, we had kind of figured out when the schedule would allow us to eat,
sure, yeah,
in relative
absolutely.
peace. Because we know that all the soldiers go at this time and all of the staff go at that time.
I'm assuming as well that would the stewards and so forth be Indian?
The stewards are certainly Middle Eastern, but actually Ramachandran, you do have an eye to note that your steward, for example, most of the crew are Indian, but your steward, for example, was Middle Eastern, probably northern. If he's Indian, he's much northern Indian, not southern.
Okay, which leaves me having to negotiate the complex minefield of the Indian caste system. So.
Yes.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any untouchables on the ship, would there be?
No
Oh,
untouchables.
no.
But,
Not
you
in
know,
this period.
the steward, for example, his complexion was darker than the other Indians that were serving. So he had a darker complexion. He had probably a mole over an eye, that kind of thing.
Are you saying then that for example, there could be like Persians working on the ship as well?
Could be.
But it's a British Indian vessel, we determined. Right?
Yep.
The only thing that I would do that doesn't really have anything to do with anything is I would offer tea to the officers, not only of the ship but of the military billeted crew downstairs, just so that I can get them to fix some brand loyalty to Crane Tea.
Yeah, you definitely make some friends and earn some brownie points with your far superior tea than the swill that's being served regularly from Bancora staff.
Yeah, because the stuff they're serving to them right now is probably Twilings.
Twinnings.
And
Twilings.
Quite old.
I was mocking them by saying
yes.
Twilings.
Is there anything like a bulletin board on the vessel, like a place for passengers to leave messages for one another?
Sure.
I'm just curious, if I were to put up a sign and said, "Do you dream of blue elephants?" or something maybe a little less crazy sounding, because it's very odd that we've all found each other at table at the same time. And although I don't believe Nestorius's theory that God is calling us to Calcutta, something is, it's a powerfully strange coincidence. But if I put up a notice about blue elephants, there's no response.
Correct. No response. But you can tell that someone pulled the pin out and probably was holding your note, looking at it, and then repinned it back to the wall because it's not exactly in the same spot in which you pinned it up at. So somebody's looked at it, but you didn't get any kind of responses from it.
You want to be careful about that, Raina, because these people are quite superstitious. Wouldn't want them hanging us all as witches.
I find myself newly superstitious. This is so unlikely. Madam Lockhart and gentlemen, do you already have accommodations in Calcutta?
Oh yeah, I have written ahead. Yes.
Where are you staying?
I'm staying at the Royal Pantaloon. I don't know.
The Royal Pantaloon, yes.
The Royal Pantaloon.
Oh yes, well,
it's a prestigious hotel. Excellent.
Well, my travel agent in Paris said that was the finest hotel. One of the finest. I'm staying there as well, Mr. Crane.
I booked so abruptly that I haven't made arrangements in advance. I'll see if there's room there as well.
Well, I'm sure we could make arrangements if you'd want, Mr. Rainier.
Very much
I
appreciate
find that I'm very good at making things happen.
That does not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, my connections are not much at all in Calcutta. I was stationed more out of Madras, farther to the south. So if there's any available rooms at the Royal Pantaloon, I would be most grateful.
There's always plenty of room in the Pantaloon.
I love it.
Mr. Ramachandran,
Yes.
you said you studied economics.
Yes, I
Over
did.
here, over here. Is that what you always wanted to do when you were a little boy? You dreamed of when you could be a great economist.
My father initially wished me to go into banking, and economics provided a compromise, I suppose you might say. If anything, my time at Oxford, it showed me that I have a love for certain other aspects of English culture, particularly real tennis, cricket, and shooting. But economics is more of a duty, one might say.
Ah. It's a shame, really, not being able to follow your dreams.
Well, you see, my culture is very distinct in that respect. There is a certain sense of filial loyalty. One is required to honor one's parents, particularly one's father, and there is perhaps a lack of free will from that perspective.
Well, then I guess it is noble of you then, honoring your parents and meeting them halfway.
It is simply the way things are. I'm afraid it's one must compromise.
Mhm.
So, any other explorations or anything that you guys want to do aboard the ship during day one?
I'd like to poke around cargo hold number 3 just to see what type of things are stored down there.
Sure.
I mean, not breaking any laws or going crazy. Just take a stroll through it and see, is there anything peculiar? Does anything strike a chord with blue elephants or anything odd?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so all of the cargo holds, in addition to the giant doors that are on top, that a crane would, be able to reach into and move cargo in and out from. There's also a person trap door in one corner with a vertical ladder, so that people can access and climb up and down and get access in and out of the cargo hold. And honestly, because there's so many people, they want people to be able to kind of walk around, be able to stretch, and there's trust. I mean, there's assumption that, where's a thief going to go, right? If they try and steal something, right, where are they going to go? You're on a ship, right? So yeah, it's not really that big a deal to kind of walk around. So cargo 2 has the regular cargo. The soldiers are in 1, and the coal is in 3. So you kind of go down into 2, and it kind of has that. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking of the Indiana Jones, room filled with crates and boxes, right? Stacked up. So there's little avenues throughout this as you kind of wind your way through in there. If you want to kind of browse around in there, feel free. Give me a spot hidden.
Alrighty, and that's with penalty die.
It will be with a penalty die.
Okay, so 21, which is a success, and 71, a fail.
Okay. So as you're walking around, you don't see anything labeled with any kind of, or decorated. You don't see any crates with a label or a decoration of a rearing blue elephant. The kind of things that you see is, you can see one area where, that looks like, because it's trunks and suitcases and stuff like that. That area that looks like it's stacked up personal luggage, right, from people. But then here are some crates and stuff. And some of the crates, you've noticed that, they've got stenciling on the side that look like they're from the British Army. So you can see things like there's some rifles, and you're not exactly sure what they are, but it looks like there's some rifles and whatnot in a few of these. You see in one area, those giant spools that'll have wire on them, right? So there's several giant spools with copper wire wrapped around the spool, and just it looks like some other construction equipment, rods of aluminum and things like that. So yeah, just run-of-the-mill kind of cargo stuff.
Quick question for the GM. Are there other passengers, or are we pretty much it?
You guys are pretty much it for passengers. So it's you guys, it's Mr. Fuller, Adam Fuller, and then there's the crew, and then the soldiers.
All right. We probably hang together pretty much.
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close.
I, for one, would just like a good night of sleep.
Yeah, so you guys go and turn in. So that's day one. Again, once you boarded the Bancora in Bombay, you knew then, 3 days. We're just 3 days away. It's a 3-day voyage. So day one down. So we'll be going into day two.
Sound losses, or
so in the middle of the night, as you guys are tossing and turning and trying to get some sleep, you guys begin to hear a bell and a klaxon going off as people are shouting, and you hear running outside of your cabin.
Oh, what is happening?
Fire! Fire! Fire!
Oh dear!
Fire!
And you hear, all hands on deck! All hands on deck! Fire!
Better get up.
I just quickly get up, grab my belongings, put it on, and step out onto deck.
Okay. So yeah, you guys are coming out. You're pulling on trousers. You're pulling on a coat. You were just in your night clothes. As you get on deck, you can see a fire roaring and raging out of cargo hold 2, where all the personal belongings and cargo was being stored, and smoke is billowing out of this cargo hold, and you can see people are kind of breaking up into 3 groups. There's one group that's forming a bucket brigade, a bucket line with water. There is 2 pump fire hoses. And there's another group who are working those fire hoses, groups of men holding on as a pump is being actioned, and the hoses are pumping water. And then because some people are being overwhelmed by the billowing black smoke coming out of the cargo hold, there's a third group of people who are attempting to render aid and help those who have been overwhelmed by the smoke. Do you guys want to jump in? And if so, what group do you want to join?
I am too small to help fight the fire, but I'll definitely assist those with the smoke.
Okay, you're joining first aid. Who else is joining what group, if any at all?
I'll go forward to help fight the fire with the pumping hose.
All right, so Major Barnes is joining the hose control. What was Nestorius Crane? What were you doing?
Well, I'd personally like to see if they're thinking about evacuating the ship and getting us to shore.
You don't see a shoreline, and it's still dark.
Well, I'm not accustomed to manual labor. If somebody asks me to assist, I will, but at the moment, I'm just hoping that they have everything under control.
Okay, you're going to watch and wait. Mr. Ramachandran,
I'll help to fight the fire.
bucket brigade or fire hose?
The bucket brigade.
Bucket brigade.
Likewise. I'm
Likewise, bucket brigade. Okay.
Well,
all right. Was that covering everybody? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Hose, first aid, brigade, watching, brigade. Okay. So now everybody has their jobs. If you are on the bucket brigade, give me a dex check, and you will be using your penalty dice. You are still on the sleep deprivation from the previous day.
I rolled 14 and 15. So
Hell, all right then.
I've passed.
I rolled 58, which was a narrow fail, and 9.
Hopman, you broke up on your second half of what you said. 58 and what?
98. Huge,
All right.
agonizing fail. I might have gone over deck.
That is a botch. Yes, we'll deal with your botch in a second. Let's see. Major Barnes, give me to work the fire hoses. I need a strength check from you, and you will be using your penalty die.
Good and strong. There's a pass and a pass. 2 passes.
Excellent work with that. Phoebe, some of the men are becoming overwhelmed, and as they're being pulled out of the smoke, that is just rolling over them, they're coughing and wheezing. I need you to render a first aid check, please. This will include your penalty die.
Okay, first is a 20. That's a success. Second one is a 30. Also a success. Woo-hoo, successful.
Bam. Okay. So anyone who was successful on a skill, please give that skill a tick. I believe that this game will have at least one skill improvement session.
What would hose pumping be a skill in?
Oh, well, that won't get it a tick for you, but Phoebe's first aid is a success on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the bucket brigade, so you guys are in the line. You're dumping the water, and so those that were successful, you did a good job on that. That is helping to put out fires. Let's see, Herr Hopman, you had a fumble. I need you to give me a con roll. No penalty die on this. Just give me a straight con roll.
That is happily a success at 26.
Okay. So you fall out of line, coughing and wheezing with smoke inhalation. You don't take any damage from it, but you do have to get out. But Mr. Ramachandran, give me a spot hidden. Spot hidden can be done without a penalty die.
Oh, that's good. In that case, I've just about passed. For 2 points.
So is that a pass or was that not?
Yes, I've got a pass. It's 43 out of 45.
Okay. You can tick that skill. You can tick that skill as well. And talk to the hand.
Wondering why I've gone out of focus.
Oh, that was weird. Okay, so I will elaborate on your spot hidden in just a second. Major Barnes, with your successful strength roll, you were able to assist with the pumping and the directing of the water, and so you're having a successful fire suppression, which is good. So that's 2 successful fire suppressions. And because of that, also you may attempt a spot hidden, and the spot hidden roll will not have a penalty die.
Straight up. That is a 17. That is a hard pass.
Nice. You may also tick that skill. Okay. Mr. Crane, you're kind of holding back, and you can see just it's a chaos. A lot of the men who are helping to fight the fire are, of course, the young soldiers, and they are doing an outstanding job.
Does it look like the fire is getting under control, or it's getting worse?
It looks like definitely because of the assistance rendered by your fellow travelers, they have helped suppress the fire. So you no longer see orange light emanating from the cargo hold, and the smoke billowing out has reduced by more than half, as it is now in the process of going out.
Excellent.
As the fire is suppressed, and as peace is beginning to kind of be restored to the ship, Mr. Ramachandran and Major Barnes, each of you saw, as well as a few of the other firefighters, each of you saw something inside that has shocked you, and I need each of you to make a sand roll as you see this.
Dear God. And the sand rolls with penalty die too?
No, sand rolls will not. Sand rolls will never be afflicted by penalty dice.
I have passed. What's the penalty for pass?
Passing is. I do have it in here. Lose 1 for success. So you guys see this, and the word gets out, as some of the other soldiers have seen it as well, as they yell out, "There's a body! There's a dead man here! There's a body!" And the fire suppression finishes putting out the fire, and so there is this that can be seen, and so. By that, do the other passengers approach the edge of the cargo hold to look in?
Well, yes. I'm going to look, but I'm going to look for the my fellow passengers. Do I see Adam anywhere?
You do not see Adam.
Right,
in fact,
oh no!
Everyone, make a sand roll as you look. Everyone who has not made a sand roll, make a sand roll now, as you realize that is Adam.
No,
the dead man is Adam Fuller.
I rolled a 10, which is a pass.
It looks like he hung himself.
Hanged? That's impossible. He seemed perfectly well this afternoon.
Terrible.
Is the dark liquid behind his head blood?
Water from the fire being put out. Yeah.
And he is burnt, but the rope is cut. Is it not?
Yeah, it broke. It snapped. Yeah, the fire got to the rope and it burned and snapped.
Now, does he look like he's been severely burned, or does it look like he?
Yeah, his body looks like he hung and burned.
It is the rope. I'm sorry. Did you say that was burnt too?
Yeah. It doesn't translate very well in the image, but it was the rope snapped from fire.
Got it. Okay, got it.
That then had his body plummet down to the floor of the cargo hold.
Oh, this is terrible.
Well, I'm tempted to inspect the corpse, but I think Major Barnes. It might be better if you do this, given that there is already a military presence on the ship. It may become quite complicated if any of us attempted to inspect it.
He certainly didn't seem like the kind of chap who would commit suicide.
No, he seemed just fine, and I'm going to start moving closer.
So I kneel down next to the body. Is he in the same clothes that we last saw him in, or is he in like nighttime clothes? pajamas or.
Yeah, he's still in the same dress, wear the same daytime clothing that you saw him in earlier in the day.
Okay, and this is much later, well past bedtime when most people go to sleep.
Right.
He was having the same difficulties we all will with sleeping.
Oh, we
Yeah.
got.
Is there anything noticeable on his body that looks like it's not burnt? Like maybe any gashes, cuts, crushes?
Gunshot wound, perhaps?
Yeah. Anything that looks non-burning damage.
So the captain of the ship is calling for order, and he says we do have a doctor on board. So he says let the doctor through, and so you see a white gentleman come in, and he's trying to check it out, and he says listen, let's get this. I need better lighting. Let's take him up into my office, and so he calls for volunteers to help transport the body up to his office.
Office? You mean he's got a stateroom or something?
Yeah, he has a little stateroom that he can use
Safe.
for examinations and whatnot. Dispense pills, and it's pretty small, but it's enough for one person to lay down on a table. So that's where he's proposing to have the body.
And we're halfway through the night.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yep.
So when like if one were interested in trying to figure out where the fire started or what the scene of the potential crime was, there's going to be no light here once the group leaves. Is that as I anticipated?
There is electric lighting, but of course that's all been destroyed by the fire that was raging through here. So there's no, you could have matches of your own, or maybe a flashlight. You could check and see if any of the cargo survived the fire. Maybe there's a flashlight in there. Much of the cargo, especially where the epicenter of the fire was, has been destroyed. But it's still too early to tell what the extent of the damage is.
And the cargo was all loaded by staff, so I don't know where my bags are or my trunk is. Is that correct?
Right. There was one area. Yeah, there was one area that was of clearly personal individual gear versus boarded up crates, cartons and crates.
Mm-hmm.
And so your stuff is probably in that pile over there.
Are there crew looking to see, checking the hull down there to see if there's any breaches or weaknesses?
There are crew, they were checking out the integrity of the ship.
It's probably going to take them all night.
I'm gonna hover around the doctor,
damage.
and I'll follow them when they. I won't volunteer to help move the body, but I am going to follow them.
And the doctor was also part of the first aid crew, and he was impressed with your nursing skills.
If I can, well, if nobody, I'll help him move the body. If none of these men want to step up, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, so some of the crew, definitely strong backs of the crew, they step up and are helping to transport the body up. But you can certainly go with the doctor.
Yeah, and as I go with it, I'm like, I was talking to him yesterday. Oh, he seemed just fine.
Yeah, in fact, you can give me a psychology roll as you're interacting with Dr. Snow.
And as a veteran,
29 is a fail. The penalty dice is
also follow the body and get the scoop.
Okay. So Herr Hauptmann, you can also do a psychology with the doctor.
I'm going to go to the front of the ship and smoke.
Oh, fantastic, Mr. Crane.
That's lovely tea.
Yeah,
No,
62 is my failure die. So
I might be distracting. Oh, Rainer, how are you feeling? Rainer, wow, my apologies. With the smoke, are you feeling okay?
Between the smoke and the sleeplessness, I'm not sure. And just we just met this Fuller man. We just met him. And he's dead like this.
Oh, it's terrible.
Tragic. Oh, I'm exhausted. I hope to sleep this night.
So Mr. Crane has gone to the bow of the ship to get some fresher air and do some smoking. Herr Hauptmann and Miss Lockhart are with Dr. Snow. Major Barnes, Mr. Ramachandran, what are you guys going to do?
I'd like to be as close to the cargo hold as possible, and once they're starting to clear out and check the area for structural integrity, I'd like to see if the areas of our luggage are still there, if our personal items are still there.
Okay.
Oh my goodness me, my suits.
Yeah. But maybe we should. Do you know roughly the area where your luggage would be?
I have no idea. I've never visited the cargo hold before.
All right, so you guys can be down there. You can double check to ensure that personal belongings are they damaged? Are they not damaged? Are they fire damaged? Are they water damaged? Are they totally safe? And then also, of course, the crime scene is there if you wanted to check that out as well.
Now, when we saw the body, was it moved there, or did we see it afresh, anew, with everyone else seeing it there?
You saw it, and because of the noose around the neck, your assumption, just because of noose around neck, your assumption is that the body was hanging, probably from one of the rafter beams that that are giving structural support to the roof, but that due to the fire burning through one portion of the rope, that the body probably after death, but was that death hanging or fire? Hard to tell. But after death, and after the rope burned, the corpse fell down to the ground, and had landed in a twisted, contorted heap on the floor of the cargo hold. And so everyone all the firefighters, once they had suppressed the fire and witnessed the body, it was after the body had fallen. So you witnessed it as it was after it already fallen.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, what do you think, Dr. Ramachandran? Do you think this was suicide, or do you think there was more foul play in this?
I really couldn't tell you, but it seems a rather unorthodox way of committing suicide to do so in the cargo hold of a ship. I would have thought that this was the sort of thing that would be done in private, in one's quarters, or at one's home, not somewhere like this. It seems a little suspicious to me. It
does. I'm wondering
one
if the
thinks
fire...
that when one is going to end one's life, one would do it in a place of safety and relative peace.
Yeah,
it seems like too much of a chance to be discovered in flagrante delicto, as it were.
Unless his idea was late at night, no one would be in the cargo hold, perhaps. I'm wondering if the fire and the apparent suicide are connected. Maybe he used an oil lamp to see, and in struggling and in choking, maybe kicked it over and started the fire, maybe, or something else.
So as you guys are down there, I had heard a couple of different objectives. One was to check on personal goods, and then one to check. I'm hearing from from Major Barnes about the mechanics of the fire and suicide to kind of check that out. So first, for a group luck roll, since it's only the two of you. Of the two of you, actually, I can check since I'm here. Who has the lower luck? Has anybody lost luck right now? Because
Yeah,
I show that.
lost luck. I'm 52 right now.
All right, you're 52, and Ramachandran.
I'm still at 60.
Okay, so Major Barnes, you have the lower luck, so you have the honor of making the group luck roll to see what the state of personal goods are.
40 on the button, so that is a pass.
That's success. Great. So personal goods were far enough away, stacked and sequestered far enough away that they were unaffected by fire or water. So lucky you. Now for the crime scene area, each of you, Mr. Ramachandran and Major Barnes, may each do a spot hidden as you examine the this area.
Does that require a
this will be affected by your sleep deprivation. It's affecting your concentration to assimilate information.
That's great, isn't it? Because the first roll I made was a 2. So, let's see what the real one is. 93. So that's
93.
Me.
Thumb in the eye.
After knowing that, could I spend luck?
Absolutely. You may spend luck on these.
All right. I'm spinning luck for success. Let me this. Oh, no, that's sanity. Oh, no, that's bad. That's not bad. That's...
Yeah, don't spend your sanity.
Yeah.
Or do spend your sanity.
No. Okay, there we go. Moving. Luck down, not sanity. Okay. All right. Just succeed.
All right. So you have discovered a small jerry can of fuel that is it's been ruptured. Fire has destroyed this jerry can. So you're finding just the remnants of this jerry can. But your mind you can see like the metallic nozzle and the remnants of this rectangular can, and it's been ruptured and everything, and so and it smells. It still has a fuel smell to it, So there must have been a pool of some kind of fire accelerant here, and you can see the remnants of where the rope was and how it must have been. Oh, it must have been looped over that, and he must have climbed up on these crates and oh my gosh, and so somehow there. I mean, you're pretty sure. You're sure with your success. You're sure that there's evidence of arson, but you also can't seem to deny the evidence of suicide. And it's hard to justify both, but both seem to be true.
I point this immediately out to Dr. Ramachandran.
Is Ramachandran a doctor?
No, I am R.A. Ramachandran, BSc Economics failed.
So I'm gonna pause that scene there as we go to the infirmary, such as it is. Dr. Snow, still a warm and smoking corpse, along with Herr Hauptmann and Miss Lockhart. So the three of you are in this rather small infirmary, and Dr. Snow is there, and he seems to be sweating, and he looks at you two, and he says, he kind of chuckles and goes, I've never had to deal with a dead body before. I'm really just a medic. I help with seasickness.
Hey, it's none of us none of us here have dealt with this before, so you're not alone. And I'll kind of dab at his forehead with the handkerchief out of my coat. They'll do just fine. You're the best man on board for this.
Surely you have you saw the what do you call the cadaver.
I mean, sure, I've studied on cadavers. Yeah, but that was like 20 years ago. I haven't seen a body since school.
It's just another cadaver. I think the only question we have really is the lungs burnt, or did he die before the fire? And yeah. I'm gonna look at his hands, to the hands of the cadaver.
All right.
The fire damage.
Yeah. So you can see the left hand is in an absolute death grip. The nails are digging into the left palm.
And they're unburned, or they're only burnt on the outside?
Yeah, it just looks like maybe the exterior is burned.
Mm-hmm. And the right hand?
The right hand is open.
And has singed?
Yeah, I mean, he's got singes and burns, all across his body, his clothing. I mean, for being in an inferno, it looks like most of his clothing is kind of like melted is really not the right word, but it really has it. His flesh is really melted and seeped into his the fibers of his clothing.
Like they kind of fused.
Yeah, it's almost kind of fused to it, and the clothing has lost all pliability and suppleness. It's all crusty and brittle now. From the flesh, kind of the fat of the flesh, melting into the fibers and then fusing back once it kind of cooled down from the waters. But yeah, his left hand is clutched into a death grip, nails digging into the palm. Right hand is open, and each of you can go ahead and do a spot hidden as you kind of and if you have medical, you may certainly do medicine instead of first aid. I mean, not first aid. You can do medicine instead of spot hidden if you so desire. But in either case, your penalty die will apply, because again, your mental faculties are you're on your very last nerve, and it's difficult to concentrate.
Well, I rolled a 66 on the first one, and then the penalty dice was a 66 again, which are both, it's still a failure though.
I got a 35 and a 45, so I have succeeded exactly on the dot.
Nice. You can check that skill.
Yes.
So some of the things you notice again is the left hand is clutched closed, but you also notice in one of the pants pockets, the pocket itself has burned a hole straight through, and you can see remnants of wood in the pocket.
All right.
Also, with your success. Herr Hauptmann, you have also noticed something is missing. You're on mute.
So I pull there's something smoky in the pocket, and I pluck that out carefully.
Little bits of wood. You pull a match out.
And this is a match that's not from a matchbook. It's from a book of matches.
Box, yeah.
A box of matches, but there's no box there. There's just one match.
Right. It looks like you pulled that bit of wood out from other bits that were all destroyed in there. Somehow one survived.
All right. And inspecting closely, I realize something.
Something is missing.
Something is missing from a front pocket, a back pocket?
Well, from the person.
Mm-hmm. From the physical person? Like
yeah, something is missing. His pocket watch with the blue elephant.
Yes.
Which we admired. His vest is not totally destroyed.
Correct.
And we'd looked around the body, so if it had been on the floor, we'd have seen it.
Yes.
Excuse me, Ms. Lockhart, you realize that perhaps we will see his home later, but I think that he was not alone when he expired.
And in his hand, you do notice there's something in his left hand that's being protected by that death grip around it.
Hand. All right. So he pries his finger open.
Yep. So, I mean, you have to actually break the fingers for them to finally open. But you do find a small piece of paper that says, goodbye, cruel world.
Oh, Adam, why?
I miss Lockhart. I don't
barely knew him, but from the walk on the deck, he seemed fine.
Well, he hadn't slept. He knows that.
We could have. I was still awake, tossing and turning. I might have been able to stop him. You know, if I had just been maybe paying more attention instead of focusing on sleep. Oh, this is terrible.
This slip of paper, does it seem like it was written in a comfortable hand? Is it ink? Is it pencil?
It is in ink. Give me this is a good question. This is an interesting question. Give me an idea roll, please. This idea roll would not be affected by this sleep deprivation.
That's
actually it probably would. Your focus and concentration is affected. So yeah, let's do a penalty die on your idea roll.
35 and 65. What's my? I'm willing to spend 5 points.
Okay.
I'm a lot more lucky than I am sane.
I like it.
So yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that 5.
All right, and you make it a success?
Yeah.
It is your opinion that this was written either in haste or duress.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's possible that maybe the ship was rocking too. Who knows?
No, it's not a normal hand, but it's not. I mean, who knows? He was not in. And that was in the jacket pocket, the waistcoat pocket.
No, his hand. So his left hand had that death grip. You know, the fingers were digging into the palms. It was protecting that piece of paper crumpled up inside his hand. You had to break his fingers in order to open it and discover inside that little treasure box of his palm, you found that note that says, "Goodbye, cruel world." But the handwriting, it looks off.
It could have grabbed that from someone else or anything, but it's not a suicide note.
Well, with the breaking of the finger, Excuse me, Doctor. Rainier, please. I'm sure you two are very capable. And I'm gonna go join Mr. Crane out on front.
Okay. And so Dr. Snow says he says, yes, ma'am, I can understand not wanting to stay for this. As Dr. Snow takes a deep gulp as he musters up his courage, and he begins a brutal hacking saw as he creates a very poor Y incision on Adam Fuller's chest, and it's starting to go in to check out the organs.
Mr. Crane, what are you smoking? Oh.
My dear, just smoking my pipe.
Do you mind if I borrow that for a moment?
Of course. Perhaps you want some of this.
Yes.
Before Miss Lockhart, which I like this, but I do want to have a scene with Mr. Crane that would be simultaneous time period wise as two people in the cargo hold and two people in the infirmary.
All right.
So Mr. Crane, as you were on the bow of the ship smoking, tell me about what you're thinking or doing out there.
Well, I'm thinking this is all I need. I've got a lot of business things to think about, and I've got a family at home. I've got 3 children. I've got a wife who loves me, and I was afraid of pirates, and this is almost as bad. Seems that everybody got it finally under control, so I don't see that there's anything else that I can do. I'm a bit curious as to
you do have this fear of piracy, and you bring that up there, that this could be the act of pirates, of some sort of spy or pirate aboard the ship. Give me a sand roll for that fear that you've got.
Yes, I got a 68, and that is a fail.
Oh, it's a fail.
Yeah.
Lose 1 for that failure then.
Okay.
As you suspect that there is something foul afoot that could be within the realm of piracy, possibly.
I certainly feel that he's foul play. I mean, he didn't seem like the kind of fellow who would off himself. Besides, why would one just jump into the ocean? It's far less painful.
Give me a spot hidden, please.
30, which is a hard pass.
It is a hard pass.
Mm-hmm.
Tick that skill. There is still, of course, it's dark, mm-hmm. and there's smoke, diminished smoke, but there is still smoke. Right, it's going back behind you, but it's creating this dark backdrop as well. So there's layers and layers of different tones of shadow. But as you're standing at the bow of the ship, looking astern, you see off to one side that there is a silhouette of a man, but due to the layers of darkness, you can't make out any details, so you don't know who that is that's standing over there, but there is a silhouette of a man who's watching you, and the silhouette, it starts to approach like it's almost like a panther beginning a slow approach. But then Miss Lockhart comes rushing up to you from another direction, mm-hmm. and as she comes into your personal space, with a little bit of distress on her face, from being there at the very beginning of this autopsy. That panther in the shadows steps back and retreats into the darkness and slips away.
Okay. I have my hand on my 38, though. 32 millimeter.
All right.
But I see her and I'm like, oh, my dear, you look a bit shaken. Would you like some of this?
Yes. Yes, it's been quite the quite the evening. This is good. This is good tobacco, Mr. Crane. I'm not surprised. You have good taste in your plants.
Yes, cherry wood and other fine things. Sorry I can't offer you any tea at the moment, but
No.
quite distressing evening.
Oh, this is just fine.
I saw you going with the body. Do you concur with my simple guess that it was foul play?
Oh, he had this note. Ryanair found the note. He didn't have his watch, his pocket watch. It's horrible. I don't know. He seemed fine. I don't know.
You say that he had the note with him?
Yeah, clutched in his hand. It was protected from the fire. It's unburned.
Now I've read a few mysteries. Doesn't the suicide usually leave the note in a place where people will find it? They don't usually leave it in a burning room.
Yes, that would seem.
I would expect to find a note up in his cabin, if anywhere else. I should like very much to compare the handwriting on the note to anything we might find in his cabin.
Yes, well, I believe the good Dr. Snow is checking his lungs right now to see if he died before or after the fire.
Bullet wounds, perhaps, stabbings. How very unfortunate. He was quite a nice chap.
Yes, yeah. If you wouldn't mind, can I please have just another few draws from that pipe?
Of course. I do have a little bit of something a little stronger, but perhaps later. It's a bit early in the morning to be smoking that sort of stuff.
And with that, as much as you can, everyone kind of starts to try and retire for whatever semblance of rest that you can muster. And so I think we'll draw a close for tonight's episode there. And when next we meet, it will be the dawning of a new day, and we will begin that session with another sleep deprivation roll.
Excellent. Our players included Mick Swan, Stuart Lively, David Gasaway, Morgan Llewellyn, and myself with John Hook as the Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to support our show, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.